Alrighty y'all, today we're going to talk about Duke traps. Are they worth it? Let's find out. Alright, so the first example we're going to be taking a look at is the Duke #1 coil spring. And I can get this trap for $5. And I can also get a 1.5, once again regular jaw, basic model for $5.69. So price is pretty much an advantage. Duke pretty much rules here. However, I don't have an expensive trap to compare these to. However, I do have a $5 American-made #1, and we'll compare that. First off, the Dukes, and pretty much, not all of their models, but all of these round jaw, basic side swiveled models are as cheap as you can make a trap and still have it work. That means very minimal features and very cheap construction. So, it looks like the Duke might have an ever so slightly thicker frame. However, the Wolf Creek trap made in Ohio has a base plate welded onto it, which makes it thicker and more durable. In addition, this piece here, I'm not quite sure what you could call it, somebody would probably tell me in the comments, but this part here is thicker. Once again, it's going to be more durable. The links appear to be pretty much the same thickness, and the links on the Wolf Creek are actually a little bit longer. I hope you guys can see that. Wolf Creek has a ring and Duke has a swivel, which a swivel is a little bit better in my opinion. It is just better in my opinion because you get some swiveling action. However, the Duke swivels are not very good at all. This trap here, I don't even think I did catch something in this trap, I believe. It was either this one or my other #11, but nothing. Just small stuff. It wouldn't do this. So I must hit this with my shovel or something, and it got bent up really bad. Now the MB swivels are much thicker than this and would not break like that. So like I said, cheap construction. And another thing about this Duke is on all of my Duke coil springs, this part here is bent up from and it was earlier before I even started the trapping season. I just used them a little bit, and it was already bent up. So, again, I'm not sure if other coil springs do that, but it is definitely cheaper steel. Now, this Duke does actually appear to have a little bit stronger springs than the Wolf Creek. So, I'm not sure what that's about. But, again, I'm sure if you were to buy like a nice MB, it might have the same spring tension or a little bit more. But in my opinion, when I'm going to be using these for mink and muskrat, probably not raccoons, this would hold just fine in my opinion. And I'd rather have it because I'd be sporting an American business, and it seems like a stronger trap in my opinion in terms of construction. Another example of construction is this Duke #11. Now this is already starting to bow a little bit. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but it's starting to bow on the bottom just from setting it on my knee. And once again, I also showed you guys the swivel, how that was bent up. Here's a vintage #1. And the frame is not bent at all. And it's probably been used a lot before I got it. In addition, it was either this trap or another trap. I was trying to set it by stepping on the levers, which I didn't quite have the method perfected of setting it on my knee. I didn't have that method perfected at the time, but I was standing on these and it rolled over and bent this pretty bad. So I put it on a table edge, just pushed it, straightened it out, and then when I was setting it, I pulled the springs back to make the jaw level, and I believe I pulled them a little bit more, than they had to be, I suppose. And it bent up a little bit. Just because it's very cheap steel and it's very thin steel. So they are cheap, but you have to take into consideration all that you're losing when you're buying a trap like this. You're losing construction and quality. Now, these pans, another thing I mentioned before I close out is pans seem to be alright, but I know at least on the Sleepy Creek long springs, the pan is sort of comes around this. Like this will be one solid piece. The pan sort of has two prongs on it, and it's a much more stable design. So, as I mentioned, pretty much the cheapest you can make a trap and still have it function. However, I've caught pretty much everything I've caught this season has been in Dukes, and they've pretty much all held. So they are definitely usable, but you do have to take into consideration how much you're willing to pay versus what kind of quality you expect. So I feel they are good for like a beginning trapper you know, if you don't have a lot of money to throw at it, or if you're not sure if you're going to be serious about trapping, or even if you just have a little bit of a, you know, nuisance problem, something's eating your chickens, you don't necessarily want to get completely into trapping, but you do want to put a few traps out and hopefully catch it. Duke traps are a good way to go. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like and subscribe, as it would really help me along and help to boost the channel. God bless, and see you on the next one.